Welcome to Famous People, English Stories. Ready to level up your English? Here we learn through stories slow, clear, and fun. Listen, relax, and enjoy the journey.
Introduction. Today's story is about learning to think in English, from struggling with translation and hesitation to speaking with confidence and fluency, through practice, mindset, and personal growth. Chapter 1: The Decision. Anna stood in front of the mirror. She looked at herself and said out loud, "I have to change something." It was early morning. Her hair was messy. Her eyes looked tired. But it wasn't her hair or her face that she wanted to change. It was her English. Anna was 26 years old. She worked in an office in Brazil. Every day, she used a few words in English, emails, video calls, messages. But every time she spoke English, she felt nervous. She translated in her head. She spoke slowly. She didn't feel free. "I want to think in English," she whispered. "Not translate. Not guess. Just think. Naturally." She opened her notebook and wrote one sentence. "From today, I think in English." That was the beginning. She walked to the kitchen and made coffee. While pouring the coffee, she whispered, "This is coffee. I love coffee. It smells good." She smiled. It felt silly. But it was English. She sat down at her desk. Her cat, Milo, jumped onto the table. "Milo," she said, "you are a sleepy cat." The cat blinked. Anna giggled. "See? Now I'm thinking in English. Even if it's simple." She didn't wait for the perfect moment. She didn't wait to feel ready. She started. That evening, she went for a walk. In her mind, she talked about everything she saw. The sky is pink. A boy is riding a bicycle. There is a small dog. It looks happy. She said it slowly. She repeated words. She made mistakes. But she kept going. People around her didn't know what she was doing. But Anna was not walking. She was training. Training her brain. She was planting English in her mind. Not just grammar. Not just vocabulary. But English thinking. The next morning, Anna did something new. She took her phone, opened her voice recorder, and said, "Hello. My name is Anna. I want to speak English. I want to think in English. Today is a new day." She listened to her voice. It sounded strange. But it was her. It was real. She made a plan. Talk to herself in English every day. Watch English shows with subtitles, then without. Listen to English music and repeat the lyrics. Learn to describe everything she saw in English. Celebrate every small win. She called it her English Mind Mission. 3 days passed. Then 5. Then 10. It was hard. She made mistakes. She forgot words. But every day, she got better. One evening, she was cooking pasta. She dropped a spoon. It made a loud noise. Without thinking, she said, "Oh no. Not again." She paused. She realized she didn't translate. She didn't think in Portuguese first. She reacted in English. That night, she smiled in bed. Something inside her had changed. She was not learning about English anymore. She was living in it. And that was just the beginning. Chapter 2: The Voice in the Head. Anna sat at her desk, staring at her computer. The office was quiet. Her coworkers typed, clicked, and worked silently. Suddenly, an email arrived. It was in English. Hi, Anna. Can you please prepare a short report for the team? Let's discuss it tomorrow in our meeting. Best. David. She read the email again. She understood it. But her mind started translating, line by line. She frowned. No, she said to herself. Stop translating. Think in English. She closed her eyes and whispered. Okay. David wants a report. I will prepare it. We will talk tomorrow. It's simple. Something inside her clicked. She wasn't just reading English. She was talking to herself in English. That was the voice in her head. And it had started to speak English. That evening, she walked to the park. The wind blew gently. Leaves danced on the ground. She looked at the trees and said in her mind, "These trees are so tall. They look like they are touching the sky." She heard the voice in her head again. But this time, it wasn't speaking Portuguese. It was speaking English. Naturally. Softly. Confidently. She didn't force it. She just noticed it. And smiled. This is how change happens, slowly, quietly. Later that night, Anna sat on her bed. She opened a notebook and wrote. Today I thought in English again. It felt good. It felt real. Then she drew a little brain and wrote inside it. English mind. She touched the paper and whispered. I'm creating a new voice. A new me. One day, during lunch at work, her colleague Lucas sat beside her. You always practice English, right? He asked. Anna nodded. Wow. I try, but it's hard. I don't feel confident, Lucas said. Anna smiled. You don't have to be perfect. Just start speaking. Even to yourself. Lucas laughed. To myself? Like, in the mirror? Yes, she said. That's how I started. One sentence at a time. Lucas looked thoughtful. Maybe I'll try. But I always forget words. Anna nodded. Me too. But I just describe what I can. I use simple words. I say things like, this is a table, or I'm hungry, or it's raining today. Lucas raised his eyebrows. That's it? That's it, Anna said. That's how the voice in your head changes. On her way home, Anna thought about that conversation. A year ago, she was afraid to speak. Now she was teaching someone else how to begin. She felt proud. Not because she was perfect, but because she was growing. At home, she stood in front of the mirror again. Just like on the first day. But this time, she said, Hi, Anna. You think in English now. Not all the time. Not perfectly. But you're doing it. She smiled at her reflection. You are brave, she whispered. Then the voice in her head replied. Yes. brave, and ready for more. Chapter 3: The English Bubble. Anna sat in a cafe on Saturday morning. It was her favorite cafe, quiet, sunny, and full of books. She opened her journal and wrote, "How can I think in English even more?" She looked around the room. People were speaking Portuguese, laughing, ordering coffee. But in Anna's mind, something different was happening. Her brain was building a new world. An English world. An English bubble. She called it her English bubble. It wasn't a real bubble, of course. It was a space inside her mind. A place where she could live in English, even if the world around her was not in English. She made a plan. Step 1: change her phone language to English. Done. Now, every button, every message, every app was English. At first, it felt strange. But after a few days, it felt normal. Step 2: only follow English accounts on social media. Motivation, news, travel, cooking, all in English. When she opened Instagram, she read things like, "Morning motivation, believe in yourself. 10 ways to make your morning better." And slowly, those words became part of her thoughts. Step 3: listen to English podcasts every morning. While making breakfast, she played a podcast. Sometimes she understood everything. Sometimes just 60%. But she didn't stop. She told herself, "Even if I don't understand everything, my brain is learning." Anna remembered a quote she once read. "You don't have to understand the whole ocean to learn how to swim." So she swam in English. One evening, Anna watched a movie in English. No subtitles. At first, she felt nervous. "What if I don't understand?" she thought. Then she remembered her bubble. This is English time. Just listen. Just enjoy. The movie started. A man ran through the streets of New York. He shouted, "I have to find her before it's too late." Anna understood. She didn't translate. She felt the meaning. She laughed. She cried. She followed the story. Not every word, but the heart of it. After the movie, she whispered, "I lived that in English. I was inside the language." The next morning, she walked to work with a smile. Inside her bubble, the world was in English. She read a street sign and thought, "Turn left." She looked at her watch and thought, "It's almost 8. She saw the clouds and thought, "Maybe it will rain today." Tiny thoughts. But all in English. Her brain wasn't fighting anymore. It was flowing. Later that day, during a meeting, her boss asked, "Anna, could you explain your report to our international team?" There was a pause. Everyone looked at her. Anna took a breath. She didn't panic. She let her mind enter the bubble. She spoke slowly. Clearly. Not perfect. But real. "Our sales increased by 20%. The reason is our new strategy. Also, customer feedback is positive." She paused. Looked around. Everyone nodded. Someone said, "Great job." Inside, Anna felt a spark. Not just because she spoke English, but because she thought in English, even under pressure. That night, she opened her journal and wrote, Today, my bubble protected me. It helped me speak. It helped me stay calm. Then she wrote something new. This is not just learning. This is becoming. Becoming someone new. Someone confident. Someone bilingual. Not someday, but now. Chapter 4, Mistakes Are the Teachers. Anna stood at the bus stop, waiting, tired. The day had been long, emails, meetings, messages. All in English. She closed her eyes. Her brain felt heavy. She thought, maybe I need a break. Maybe I'm not good enough yet. Then, she shook her head slowly. No. I'm not tired of English. I'm tired of being afraid. That morning, something happened. She was on a video call with 3 people from the UK. She was explaining her idea when suddenly, she forgot a word. She paused. She said, how do you say, when something is strong, but not too strong? Silence. Then one person said, you mean moderate? Anna smiled, yes. Moderate. That's the word. They laughed kindly. The meeting continued. But in Anna's heart, she felt embarrassed. I should know that, she thought. But later, she remembered something her English coach once told her. Mistakes are not signs of failure. They are signs of growth. That night, she sat on the floor of her apartment, Milo the cat curled beside her. She picked up her notebook and wrote, Today I made a mistake. But now I'll never forget the word moderate. She underlined the word 3 times. Then, she turned to a new page and wrote, My English mistakes, and what they taught me. She listed them. Forgot the word moderate lesson, describe the meaning. Help will come. Used funny instead of fun lesson, small difference, big meaning. Said in the bus instead of on the bus's lesson, prepositions matter. Said I am boring instead of I am bored, lesson, careful. Big mistake. She looked at the list and smiled. These weren't failures. They were teachers. She remembered another mistake from weeks ago. At a team lunch, she had said, I eat work every day. Everyone laughed. She meant, I eat at work. It was funny. And painful. But now, she remembered the moment with love. Because that day, she also laughed. And learning became real. The next day, she walked through a bookstore. She picked up a book in English. It was a simple novel, romantic, light, full of feelings. She thought, I will read this book. Not with a dictionary. Not with pressure. Just for joy. She took it home. Read the first page. The main character said, I made so many mistakes. But I found myself in the mess. Anna paused. She whispered the sentence again. I found myself in the mess. That's it. That's what she was doing. Finding herself, in English. Later, while cooking dinner, she burned the rice. The kitchen filled with smoke. She laughed and said, Well, I made another mistake. But hey, I'll never forget the smell of burned rice. Then her inner voice added, And now, I know the word burned. She opened the window and kept smiling. Because every small failure was a small victory. Before bed, she recorded a voice note to herself. Today I learned something important. Don't be afraid of mistakes. They are not the end. They are the road. She pressed stop, closed her eyes, and in the silence, her English voice whispered, "You are learning. You are growing. You are becoming." And this time, she believed it. Chapter 5: Confidence in Every Word. Anna woke up early, as usual. The sun had just started to rise. She made her coffee and sat by the window, looking at the city waking up. Her phone buzzed. A message from her boss. "Anna, I have a new project for you. It's big. Can you join the meeting this afternoon?" She read the message again. She smiled. A big project. In English. She thought, "Can I really do this?" Her heart raced a little. But then, she remembered her English bubble. She whispered to herself, "I can. I will." The meeting started at 3 p.m. Anna was nervous. She joined the video call, saw all the faces on the screen. Her boss, the team from the UK, and the team from the US. There were people from 3 different countries, all speaking in English. The project was important. There were a lot of ideas, strategies, and opinions. Everyone was talking fast. But Anna didn't panic. She had a plan. She listened carefully. When it was her turn, she took a deep breath. She spoke slowly. "Here is my idea," she said. "We could improve the strategy by focusing more on social media." For a moment, the room was silent. She felt a little worried. But then her boss said, "Great idea, Anna. Let's talk more about that after the meeting." Anna smiled, relieved. Her confidence wasn't perfect, but it was growing. Her voice wasn't loud or fast, but it was steady. It was her English. Later, Anna thought about the meeting. The nervousness was still there, but it wasn't as strong anymore. She looked at herself in the mirror. Her reflection said, "You did it. Not perfectly, but you did it." Confidence didn't mean being perfect. It meant trusting yourself enough to try. To keep going. A few weeks later, Anna received another challenge. Her company asked her to give a presentation in English to an international client. It was live. She would speak in front of a camera, explaining a new product. Her heart skipped a beat. A live presentation? In English? She thought, "Can I really do this? What if I make a mistake?" But this time, something inside her was different. The fear wasn't gone, but it was smaller. She had practiced. She had made mistakes. And she had learned. She spent the next few days preparing. She wrote her script in English. She recorded herself speaking, then listened to the recordings. She fixed small mistakes, practiced pronunciation, and even tried new expressions. Every time she practiced, she felt a little more confident. The day of the presentation arrived. Anna stood in front of the camera, ready to speak. She took a deep breath. "Okay," she said to herself, "this is my moment. I've done the work. I'm ready." She pressed play. The presentation went smoothly. She spoke clearly. She used her notes. She explained the product with confidence. There were a few small mistakes, words she mispronounced or sentences she needed to rephrase. But the clients understood her message. And that was the most important part. When the meeting ended, her boss smiled and said, "Great job, Anna." The client was impressed. Anna felt a warm glow inside. She had done it. And more than that, she had believed in herself. That night, she sat down to reflect on her journey. Her journal was full of notes, ideas, and lessons. She wrote, "Confidence is not about being perfect. It's about trying. It's about trusting myself to speak, to make mistakes, and to learn from them. Every day, I grow stronger in English. Every day, I believe more." She closed the notebook and smiled. She didn't feel like the same person who first started this journey. She felt different. She felt ready. The next morning, she walked to work with her head held high. Her English bubble was stronger than ever. She had faced her fears. And each day, she was building something new inside her. Not just a language, but a new version of herself. Chapter 6: The Power of Consistency. Anna woke up early again, but today something was different. She didn't feel tired. She didn't feel like she was rushing through life. Instead, she felt calm. There was something special about this morning. Something about how she had changed, how her life had changed. For the past few months, Anna had worked hard on her English. Every day, she'd spoken to herself. She'd read, listened, and practiced. She'd made mistakes, corrected them, and learned from them. And slowly, very slowly, her fear of speaking English started to disappear. Now, it wasn't just about the language. It was about the process. As she sipped her coffee, Anna thought about her journey. It wasn't easy. There were days when she wanted to give up. When her mind felt full of doubts. When she asked herself, "Is it really worth it? Can I ever be fluent?" But something inside her had kept her going. The small voice that said, "Just keep practicing. Every day. Even a little. It will work." And it had worked. That afternoon, Anna sat in a cafe with her friend Lucas. He had started his English journey around the same time she had. They had exchanged ideas, shared tips, and encouraged each other. But now, she noticed something different about him. Lucas was more confident. He was speaking more easily. "I've been doing it, Anna," Lucas said, smiling. "I've been speaking in English every day, even when no one is around. Even if it's just for a minute. It's not perfect, but it's becoming easier." Anna smiled back. "Exactly. It's the small things every day that add up." They both laughed. The next morning, Anna went to the gym. She had started going more regularly, and today, after a short workout, she sat down to rest. She glanced at her phone, and once again, her English podcast was playing. She noticed something she hadn't noticed before. The podcast host was speaking quickly, really quickly. But for the first time, Anna didn't feel lost. She understood the main ideas. She wasn't perfect, but she got it. She felt proud. That moment reminded her of how far she had come. She had trusted the process. Every small step had led to this. Later that afternoon, Anna met with her boss, who wanted to discuss her progress on a big project. The conversation was all in English, and while her boss was speaking quickly, Anna didn't hesitate. She explained her ideas clearly, speaking with confidence. Her boss smiled. "You've made a lot of progress, Anna. You're really doing well with your English." Anna's heart swelled. It was a simple compliment, but it meant so much to her. Because it wasn't just about speaking English anymore. It was about feeling comfortable with it. It was about trusting that the language would come. That evening, Anna sat at her desk, reflecting on her journey. She opened her journal and wrote, "I've learned something important. Consistency isn't about perfection. It's about doing something little every day. Every time I practice, I'm building the future me." The next day, something new happened. Anna sat in a meeting with a new client, someone from the UK. The conversation was technical, discussing strategy and numbers. Anna could feel the pressure. It was a big meeting. But this time, she didn't feel nervous. She felt ready. She spoke with ease, explaining things clearly, even when the conversation got complex. After the meeting, her colleague, Maria, said, "You were amazing today, Anna. Your English is really improving." Anna smiled. It felt so good. But she knew something deeper. Her improvement wasn't just about grammar or vocabulary. It was about consistency. Putting in the work, day by day, even when it felt like nothing was changing. That night, Anna realized something else. Her learning wasn't a straight line. There were moments of doubt. There were moments of joy. But it was the process that had made the difference. She wrote again in her journal. "The key to learning English is showing up every day. Small moments, small steps. And most importantly, being kind to myself on the days I don't feel perfect." As she closed the journal, Anna realized that she was no longer just trying to speak English. She was living it. Every decision she made, every moment she faced, was part of her English journey. The days when she felt tired or made mistakes, those were just as important as the days when everything went perfectly. Because at the end of the day, the process was what mattered most. And Anna had learned to trust it. To trust herself. Chapter 7: Patience and Self-Compassion. Anna sat on the balcony, looking at the city below. The sky was filled with the colors of dusk, and the air was cool and gentle. She sipped her tea slowly, taking in the peaceful moment. It had been a long week. A week filled with projects, meetings, and deadlines. And English. She had worked hard to stay consistent. Every day, she practiced speaking, reading, and listening. But there were moments when she felt discouraged. Times when she wondered, am I really improving? She had learned so much already. But sometimes, the journey felt slow. Her progress wasn't always obvious, and the mistakes still came. So many little moments of frustration. Anna thought back to the day when she had first started learning English. Back then, everything had felt overwhelming. She had wondered if she would ever feel confident. If she would ever speak without hesitating. It had seemed impossible. But now, looking at where she was, she could see the progress. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't always smooth. But that was okay. Earlier that day, during a team meeting, Anna had made a mistake. She had mixed up two words in her explanation. Her face had turned red for a moment. Her mind raced. Why can't I get this right? Why am I still making these simple mistakes? But then, something different happened. Instead of feeling embarrassed, Anna took a deep breath. She smiled and corrected herself. I meant effective, not efficient, she said calmly. The meeting continued. No one cared about the small mistake. It was just a part of the conversation. That evening, she sat at her desk and wrote in her journal. Mistakes are a part of the journey. It's okay not to be perfect. I am still learning, and that's the most important thing. She smiled at the words. She had learned something important today. Patience. Self-compassion. The next morning, as Anna walked to work, she thought about this idea of patience. So often, she had been hard on herself. She wanted to be fluent now. She wanted to speak perfectly. But that kind of pressure didn't help. It only made her more nervous and less confident. Patience wasn't about waiting for the right moment. It was about allowing herself to grow in the process. It was about accepting that mistakes were normal and not judging herself for them. She had learned to give herself time. She had learned that the best moments came when she was kind to herself. At work, Anna felt more at ease. She had a meeting with a client from Canada. It was a big meeting, and she needed to present a new marketing strategy. But instead of focusing on being perfect, she focused on the message. She spoke slowly, clearly, and didn't rush. When she made a mistake, she didn't apologize too much. She simply corrected it and continued. Her client smiled and said, "Your ideas are great. And your English is really improving, Anna." She felt proud, but not just because of the compliment. She felt proud because she had been kind to herself. She hadn't stressed over every mistake. She had trusted the process. That night, Anna reflected on everything she had learned in the past few months. The confidence, the consistency, and the patience. She had come a long way. And now, she knew that learning English was not a race. It was a journey. One that required time, practice, and, most of all, self-compassion. As she sat on the couch, her journal in her lap, she wrote again. I am not perfect. And that's okay. Every day, I am learning. Every day, I am becoming. The next morning, Anna woke up feeling lighter. There was a sense of peace inside her. The kind of peace that came from knowing she was on the right path. Her English wasn't perfect. Her mistakes were still there. But she had learned to embrace them. She had learned that it was okay to move slowly. It was okay to stumble. It was okay to be human. That afternoon, she walked to the park to clear her mind. She watched the children play, the birds fly, and the trees sway in the wind. Everything around her felt calm. And for the first time in a long time, she realized that this moment, this process, was enough. She didn't have to rush. She didn't have to be perfect. Because, in the end, it wasn't about the destination. It was about the journey. Chapter 8: The Beauty of Progress. Anna woke up feeling different today. It was like a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. For so long, she had pushed herself to be perfect, to learn faster, to speak without mistakes. But today, she felt light. She felt like she could just be. The week had been intense, filled with work and deadlines. But now, as she made her morning tea, she looked out the window and realized something important. She had been so focused on improving her English that she hadn't taken the time to reflect on how far she had come. She grabbed her journal and began to write. "I'm not the same person I was a few months ago. I have learned so much about English and about myself. I've learned that perfection is not the goal. Progress is." Anna smiled to herself. She thought about how, just a few months ago, she had been terrified of speaking in English. She had hesitated, worried about every word, terrified of making mistakes. But now she didn't mind the mistakes. She welcomed them. Because each mistake was a step forward. Later that day, she was walking to the cafe when she saw a familiar face. It was Carlos, a colleague from the marketing department. He waved, and Anna smiled and walked over to him. "Anna," Carlos said, "I've been meaning to ask you. How did you get so good at English?" Anna laughed softly, feeling a mix of pride and humility. "Well, it wasn't always easy," she said. "At first, I was really scared. But I made a decision to just keep going. Every day, I practiced, made mistakes, and kept learning. It wasn't about being perfect, it was about progress." Carlos nodded. "That's a great mindset. I think I need to try that." Anna smiled. "Believe me, consistency is key. But also, don't forget to enjoy the process. Learning a language is a journey, not a race." That evening, Anna sat at her desk, working on a presentation for a new client. It was a challenging project, but this time, she felt calm. She knew she could handle it. She knew that the English words would come when she needed them. As she worked, she paused to reflect on the days when she had felt anxious about speaking. How she used to get so frustrated when she couldn't find the right word or made a mistake. But now, those moments no longer scared her. She had learned to trust that the right word would come. If not, she would simply find a way to explain it. The next day, during the presentation, something amazing happened. As she spoke to the client, her words flowed more easily than she had expected. The vocabulary came to her without hesitation. She spoke confidently, even though there were a few moments where she had to think for a second. And when the meeting ended, her client smiled and said, "Excellent work, Anna. Your English is really improving. I can see how much effort you've put into this." Anna felt a quiet pride. It wasn't just about the compliment, it was about how far she had come. The effort, the small steps, the consistency, they were paying off. That evening, Anna reflected again in her journal. Perfection is not the goal. Progress is. Every mistake is a lesson, and every small victory is a step forward. I am exactly where I need to be. As the days went on, Anna continued to feel the growth inside her. Her English was far from perfect, but it no longer mattered. She had learned something far more valuable. That progress, not perfection, was what made the journey beautiful. One afternoon, Anna sat in the park with a book. It was an English novel, a story about a woman who, like her, had overcome many obstacles in life. As she read, Anna realized something. Language learning wasn't just about learning words. It was about connecting to the world in a new way. It was about seeing life through a different lens. And in that moment, Anna understood that she wasn't just becoming better at English. She was becoming a more open person, someone who embraced new experiences, who accepted mistakes as part of the process, and who understood the power of patience. That night, as Anna closed her book, she looked out the window. The city was alive with lights, and the sounds of the evening filled the air. She realized that her journey with English was far from over. There would always be new challenges, new goals, and new opportunities to grow. But now, she was ready for them. She closed her eyes and whispered softly, "The journey is the destination. And I'm enjoying every step of the way." Chapter 9: Stepping Beyond Comfort. Anna stood in front of the mirror that morning, fixing her scarf. The sun was just beginning to peek through the clouds, and she felt a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. Today was different. A few weeks ago, she had received an invitation to attend an international conference on marketing in English. At first, she had thought it was too big a step. She didn't feel ready. The idea of speaking in front of a room full of professionals from all over the world was intimidating. But then she remembered her journey. She had started with small steps. Little by little, she had built up her confidence. She had made mistakes, learned from them, and grown stronger. Why shouldn't she try this? It was time to push her limits. It was time to leave her comfort zone. The conference was held in a large, modern hotel. Anna arrived early, feeling the buzz of excitement in the air. Hundreds of people from different countries were milling about, checking in and chatting. Most of them were speaking in English. Some were fluent. Others, like Anna, were still learning. But no one seemed nervous. Everyone was just doing it. Speaking, connecting, sharing ideas. Anna took a deep breath. She was nervous, yes. But she was also ready. As the conference began, she sat in a large conference room, listening to speakers talk about the latest trends in marketing. She understood most of the presentations. And when it was her turn to speak, she felt her heart race a little. But this time, she didn't let the fear control her. She stepped up to the podium, cleared her throat, and began speaking in English about a project she had worked on for months. She spoke slowly, making sure her words were clear. And when she made a small mistake, she didn't apologize or panic. She simply corrected it and continued. After the session, several people approached Anna, congratulating her on her presentation. One man from Brazil said, "Your English was excellent. You spoke so clearly and confidently." Anna smiled and thanked him. She didn't feel perfect. But she felt proud of herself. Later that evening, as Anna sat in the hotel lobby, reflecting on the day, she realized something. She had stepped out of her comfort zone. She had faced her fears. And the world hadn't ended. In fact, it had been one of the most rewarding experiences of her journey. Back in her hotel room, Anna picked up her journal and wrote, "Today, I stepped outside my comfort zone. And it wasn't as scary as I thought. In fact, it was exciting. It reminded me that growth doesn't happen when we stay in our comfort zones. We have to push ourselves, even when we feel unsure. That's when the real growth happens." The next morning, Anna attended a workshop where participants practiced their speaking skills. She paired up with a woman from Spain, Maria, who was also learning English. Together, they practiced presenting ideas, discussing strategies, and answering questions, all in English. At first, Anna felt self-conscious. She worried that she might make mistakes, but she reminded herself of what she had learned. Perfection isn't the goal. Progress is. By the end of the session, she felt more confident than ever before. She realized that, even though she was still learning, she had already achieved so much. She had pushed herself beyond what she thought were her limits, and it had paid off. Back home a few days later, Anna found herself thinking about the conference. She had done something she never thought she could do. And it had been a turning point in her English journey. But the most important lesson she had learned was this. Stepping out of your comfort zone isn't easy. It's scary. But it's the only way to truly grow. The following week, Anna was in a meeting with her team at work. As usual, the conversation was in English. But something was different today. Anna felt more comfortable speaking. Her confidence had grown. She had crossed a threshold. And as the meeting ended, her boss said, "Anna, you've really come a long way with your English. You're a great asset to the team." Anna smiled. She had always known that learning English was important for her career and personal growth. But now, she saw something more. It wasn't just about language. It was about expansion. It was about pushing yourself to be better than you were yesterday. And it was about embracing challenges, no matter how big or small. That night, Anna thought about all the steps she had taken. The small steps. The big leaps. The times she had felt nervous, unsure, or even scared. She wrote in her journal. Sometimes, it's the scary steps that lead us to the most amazing places. I'm not the same person I was before. I've grown. I've learned. And I'm excited for what's next. The next morning, as Anna prepared for her day, she looked at herself in the mirror. She was ready. Ready to face new challenges. Ready to push beyond her comfort zone. And most importantly, ready to enjoy the journey. Chapter 10: The Power of Self-Expression. Anna sat by the window, the soft light of the afternoon sun warming her skin. She gazed out at the street below, the bustling world moving by in a blur. It was one of those peaceful moments when everything felt calm, and she felt at peace within herself. The past few months had been a whirlwind. She had faced so many challenges, pushed herself to new limits, and made so much progress. But now, as she looked back, she realized something important. It wasn't just about speaking English perfectly, or even about speaking with confidence. It was about expressing herself, about sharing her thoughts, ideas, and emotions with the world. Earlier that morning, Anna had been in a meeting with her team. They had discussed the new campaign strategy, and Anna had presented her ideas. For the first time, she didn't feel like she was just speaking a foreign language. She felt like she was communicating, expressing herself, in a way that felt natural and authentic. Her English had become the tool she used to share her creativity and passion, and it was no longer something she struggled with. After the meeting, her colleague Rachel, who had been part of the discussion, pulled Anna aside. "Your presentation today was amazing," Rachel said. "I could really see your ideas come to life. And your English has improved so much. You speak with so much clarity now." Anna felt a warm feeling spread inside her. It wasn't just about her fluency, it was about how her message had come across. She realized that her journey was no longer just about learning words and phrases. It was about using those words to connect with others. Later that afternoon, Anna sat down at her desk, opened her journal, and began to write. The more I practice English, the more I realize that it's not about being perfect. It's about being able to express my thoughts and ideas in a way that feels real. Language is the bridge between who we are and how we connect with others. And when we learn to communicate clearly, we can share our true selves with the world. As the day passed, Anna reflected on how far she had come. She thought back to when she had first started learning English. At that time, it felt like a battle to get the words right. She worried about grammar, pronunciation, and every small mistake she made. But now, things were different. She wasn't focused on perfection anymore. She was focused on expression. That evening, she joined a group of friends for dinner. They had decided to meet at a new restaurant in town, and Anna was excited to catch up with them. As they sat around the table, eating and chatting, Anna felt a deep sense of belonging. For so long, she had been afraid of speaking in social situations. She had worried about making mistakes or not being understood. But tonight, she was at ease. During the conversation, Anna shared a story about a recent trip she had taken. She didn't worry about her grammar. She didn't stress about every word. She just spoke, and everyone listened. And as she told her story, Anna realized that language wasn't just about speaking correctly. It was about connecting, about sharing experiences and emotions. After dinner, as Anna walked home, she thought about the evening. She had spoken without hesitation, and everyone had understood her. She hadn't needed to be perfect. All that mattered was that she had communicated from the heart. That night, she wrote in her journal, "Language is a powerful tool. It's not just about the words we say, but about how we say them. The true beauty of language lies in our ability to express our thoughts, our dreams, and our emotions. And in doing so, we connect with others in a way that's beyond words." The next morning, Anna took a moment to think about her journey. She had started this adventure to improve her English, but now, she realized, she had learned so much more. She had learned that language was a bridge, not just to fluency, but to self-expression. It wasn't about speaking perfectly or following every rule. It was about speaking in a way that felt true to who she was. Anna smiled to herself. She had come a long way since the first days of self-doubt. Her English was still a work in progress, but now, it was something she could use to express her ideas, to connect with people, and to share herself with the world. That afternoon, Anna met with a new client for an important project. As she discussed the strategy and the details of the campaign, she spoke clearly and confidently. But as she spoke, she felt something else, a sense of calm. She wasn't focused on being perfect anymore. She was focused on sharing her ideas in a way that felt authentic. She was communicating, not just speaking. When the meeting ended, the client looked at her and said, "You've done a fantastic job. Your English is very clear, and your ideas are really inspiring." Anna smiled. This time, the compliment felt different. It wasn't just about the language. It was about the connection she had made. As she left the meeting, Anna felt a deep sense of pride. She had realized something important on this journey. Language was more than a skill, it was a form of self-expression. And when she spoke in English, she wasn't just trying to communicate, she was sharing a part of herself with the world. That night, as she wrote in her journal, Anna felt a sense of contentment. She had learned to express herself in English in a way that felt natural and true. Her journey wasn't over, but she was no longer focused on the destination. She was enjoying the process, the beautiful, imperfect, human process of communication. Language is not just about speaking. It's about connecting, sharing, and expressing who we are. Chapter 11: Embracing the Journey. Anna sat on the park bench, looking out at the autumn leaves swirling in the wind. It was one of those rare moments when everything felt quiet and still. The past few weeks had been a whirlwind, and she hadn't had much time to pause and reflect. But today, sitting in the park with a cup of tea in her hands, she felt a sense of peace. It was the perfect moment to look back on everything she had learned so far. She thought about her journey. When she first started learning English, it had felt overwhelming. There were so many new words, rules, and phrases to remember. At times, she had felt discouraged, unsure if she was improving or if she was even on the right path. But now, things had changed. She no longer saw mistakes as failures. She saw them as stepping stones. Each mistake had been a chance to learn, to grow, and to move forward. And slowly, her confidence had built up. The fear of making mistakes no longer paralyzed her. Earlier that week, Anna had attended another meeting. This time, she was asked to lead the discussion. At first, she had felt the familiar flutter of nerves. But then, she reminded herself of all the progress she had made. She had the knowledge, the skills, and the English to do this. As she spoke, she made a small error in pronunciation, but instead of stopping and dwelling on it, she just corrected herself and continued. The meeting went smoothly, and at the end, her colleagues complimented her on her leadership and clarity. That evening, Anna sat at her desk, writing in her journal. I've learned that the best way to grow is to embrace mistakes. Every time I make one, I learn something new. And every time I learn, I get closer to the person I want to be. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. Anna had also learned something else along the way. Joy. The journey of learning English had become more than just about acquiring a new skill. It had become a source of joy. The small wins, the moments when she understood a word without hesitation or when she managed to explain an idea clearly, brought her immense satisfaction. She had learned to celebrate those little victories, because they added up to big progress. It was a rainy evening when Anna received an unexpected phone call. It was from her friend Rachel, who had moved to Paris a few months ago. Rachel was practicing her French, and she had a question for Anna about something she had learned. Hey, Anna. I need some advice, Rachel said. I've been feeling a little discouraged with my French lately. It's tough, and I keep making mistakes. How did you keep going with English? Anna smiled to herself. She knew exactly how Rachel felt. She had been there. But she had also learned how to keep moving forward. Well, Anna said, it's okay to feel discouraged. I've been there too. But every mistake you make is a step forward. I used to get really frustrated when I didn't get something right, but I realized that it's not about being perfect. It's about continuing to learn and having fun with it. You don't have to be fluent overnight. Just keep going and celebrate the small wins. As she finished her conversation with Rachel, Anna thought about the importance of resilience. It wasn't about how quickly you learned or how many mistakes you made. It was about getting back up every time you stumbled and continuing the journey. The next day, Anna went for a walk in the city. As she walked through the busy streets, she thought about how much she had grown. Her English wasn't perfect, and she still made mistakes from time to time. But those mistakes no longer held her back. They were part of the process, and each one taught her something new. She passed by a cafe and remembered the first time she had tried to order coffee in English. At that time, she had felt so nervous. She had worried about saying the wrong thing, about mispronouncing the words. But now, it felt natural. She smiled to herself as she walked past. Later that evening, Anna took some time to reflect again. She had reached a point where she no longer saw her mistakes as signs of failure. Instead, she saw them as opportunities to improve. She had stopped focusing on perfection and started focusing on progress. And with that mindset, learning English had become an enjoyable, fulfilling journey. That night, as Anna closed her journal, she wrote a final thought for the day. I've learned that the journey is as important as the destination. Every mistake, every challenge, every victory, no matter how small, has led me here. And I'm proud of how far I've come. I'm not perfect, but I'm growing every day. As she drifted off to sleep that night, Anna smiled, feeling content and grateful. Her journey was far from over, but she was no longer focused on the end goal. She was focused on the process, the lessons, and the joy of learning. Chapter 12: The Path Ahead. Anna sat at her favorite cafe, sipping a warm cup of coffee as she looked out the window. The world was moving around her, the busy streets, the people walking with purpose, the hustle and bustle of daily life. But in this moment, Anna felt still. Her mind was quiet, and she was deep in thought. She had come a long way in her journey with English. There had been ups and downs, moments of doubt and moments of triumph. But through it all, she had learned so much, not just about the language, but about herself. Now, as she reflected on her progress, she realized something important. This was not the end of the road. It was just the beginning. For so long, Anna had been focused on reaching a certain level of proficiency, on speaking perfectly, on making sure every word was correct. But now, she saw things differently. She had learned that language learning wasn't about achieving a final goal. It was about the journey. It was about continuously growing, learning, and pushing herself further, no matter how much progress she had already made. Anna thought about where she was now. Her English had improved dramatically over the past year. She spoke with confidence, she understood more, and she was able to express herself more freely. But there was still so much to learn. There were new words to discover, new ways to express her ideas, and new challenges to face. And that was exciting. She realized that learning English would never truly end. It would be a lifelong adventure, one that she was eager to continue. In the past, she had been focused on reaching a specific destination. But now, Anna understood that the beauty of the journey was in the process itself. Every day was an opportunity to improve, to explore new aspects of the language, and to expand her horizons. She didn't need to rush. There was no finish line to cross. Instead, it was about embracing the learning process and enjoying the small victories along the way. That afternoon, as Anna sat at her desk, she thought about her goals for the future. She had accomplished so much, but she knew that there was always room for growth. She began to write down her thoughts in her journal. The journey of learning English is never truly finished. Every day, I have the opportunity to learn something new. Whether it's a new word, a new expression, or a new way of thinking, I am constantly growing. My goal is no longer to be perfect. My goal is to keep going, to embrace every challenge, and to enjoy the process of becoming a better communicator every day. Anna thought about the people she had met along the way. There were so many who had inspired her, who had helped her grow, and who had shared their experiences. She realized that language was not just about grammar or vocabulary, it was about connection. It was about understanding others and being understood. And in that sense, she had already achieved so much. She had connected with so many people, from colleagues and friends to strangers and new acquaintances. And that was something to be proud of. She also thought about the opportunities that lay ahead. She had set new career goals for herself, and her improved English was already helping her achieve them. But beyond that, she wanted to continue traveling, experiencing new cultures, and meeting new people. She wanted to read books in English, watch movies without subtitles, and keep expanding her knowledge in all areas of life. With that in mind, Anna created a new plan for herself. She set small, achievable goals that were realistic and focused on continuous improvement. She would continue practicing every day, whether it was through reading, speaking, or writing. She would attend more events and meetings in English, challenge herself to speak with new people, and keep pushing herself outside of her comfort zone. As Anna finished writing in her journal, she felt a deep sense of satisfaction. She had come so far, and yet, there was so much more to look forward to. The journey was far from over, but that was exactly how it was supposed to be. She had learned to embrace the process and appreciate the growth that came with each step. The next morning, Anna woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. She wasn't focused on a single destination anymore. She was focused on the process, on the daily steps she would take to keep improving, learning, and growing. That afternoon, she found herself in another meeting at work. She was asked to present a new marketing proposal to a group of executives. In the past, this would have been a nerve-wracking experience. But now, she felt calm. She had practiced. She had learned to trust herself and her ability to communicate. As she stood in front of the room, speaking confidently in English, Anna realized something important. She wasn't just sharing her ideas with others. She was sharing a piece of herself. Her journey with English had transformed from a task she had to complete into a way of connecting with the world, expressing her thoughts, and building her future. When the meeting ended, her manager came up to her with a smile. "Great job, Anna. Your English was excellent. You're becoming more confident every day." Anna smiled back, feeling a deep sense of pride. It wasn't just about speaking well. It was about continuing the journey, growing, evolving, and finding joy in every step. That evening, as Anna sat down with her journal, she wrote one final thought for the day. This is just the beginning. There's always more to learn, more to experience, and more ways to grow. I'm excited for the future and the journey ahead. Chapter 13, Stepping into the Unknown. Anna sat at her desk, staring at the screen in front of her. The cursor blinked back at her, waiting for her next move. She had just finished an exciting project at work, and now she was thinking about what was next. It was time for a new challenge, but she didn't know exactly what it would be yet. She had come so far on her English journey, and now, as she looked back on everything she had accomplished, she realized that the road ahead was filled with endless possibilities. The comfort of knowing where she stood was no longer enough. She felt ready to take things to the next level. It was time to push herself even further, to step into uncharted territory, and to embrace the unknown. Anna thought about the goals she had set for herself. She had been focused on improving her English for a long time, and now, that journey felt more like a part of her than something she was just doing for the sake of learning. It had become an integral part of her life, and she knew that in order to continue growing, she needed to embrace new challenges that would push her to evolve even more. One day, while browsing through her social media feed, Anna came across a post about an international language exchange event happening in a nearby city. It would be an opportunity to meet people from around the world, practice speaking English in a real-world setting, and learn about different cultures. At first, she hesitated. The idea of meeting so many new people and speaking in English for hours seemed daunting. But something inside her told her that this was exactly the kind of challenge she needed. She remembered the early days when speaking English in public felt like a huge obstacle. But those days were long gone. She had learned to enjoy speaking, to embrace the mistakes, and to celebrate the progress. This language exchange was a chance to keep expanding her comfort zone, to keep moving forward. The day of the event arrived, and Anna found herself standing in front of the venue, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. She took a deep breath and walked inside, reminding herself that every step she took was a step toward growth. The room was filled with people from all over the world, native English speakers, as well as learners like herself. Everyone was there for the same purpose, to connect, share, and practice. At first, Anna stuck to talking with people who spoke her level of English. But then, she remembered something she had told herself many times: challenge equals growth. It was time to speak to someone outside her comfort zone. She walked up to a man who appeared to be a fluent English speaker. He introduced himself as Thomas, from the United States. They started talking about their favorite books. Anna felt the usual nerves creeping in, but she quickly reminded herself that this was a chance to learn and grow. She asked him questions, listened carefully, and spoke with more confidence than she had expected. And when she didn't understand a word or phrase, Thomas explained it to her patiently. By the end of the conversation, Anna felt an immense sense of pride. She had stepped outside her comfort zone, and it had paid off. As the evening progressed, Anna spoke with several other people, practicing her English and learning about their cultures. She realized something important. This wasn't just about speaking English perfectly, it was about connecting with others, sharing experiences, and learning through conversation. When the event ended, Anna felt a rush of accomplishment. She had pushed herself to meet new people, speak English in real-time conversations, and learn from others. It was a challenge, but it had been worth it. That night, as she sat in her apartment, Anna reflected on everything she had experienced. She had realized that learning a language wasn't just about mastering vocabulary and grammar. It was about finding the courage to engage with the world, to ask questions, and to share parts of yourself with others. It was about building connections and gaining new perspectives. And the more she embraced those challenges, the more she grew. As she wrote in her journal that evening, Anna thought about her next steps. She knew that the path ahead would be full of new challenges, but she was no longer afraid. Each new experience would only make her stronger, more confident, and more capable. The more I challenge myself, the more I learn. The unknown is where growth happens, and I'm ready to embrace it. There's so much more to discover, and I'm excited for the next step. The following week, Anna signed up for a new online course in business English. She wanted to learn more advanced vocabulary and expressions that would help her at work, and she was excited about the challenge of diving deeper into the language. As she started the course, Anna felt a sense of excitement. She was no longer learning just for the sake of learning. She was learning to achieve new goals, to open new doors in her career, and to keep pushing her limits. In the coming months, Anna faced new challenges in both her personal and professional life. She used her improved English to communicate with international clients, present ideas to her team, and even write articles for her company's website. Each of these challenges was an opportunity to grow, to step into the unknown, and to continue building her confidence. By the end of the year, Anna had achieved more than she ever thought possible. She had taken on new projects, traveled to new places, and made new friends, all thanks to her ability to speak English with confidence. And each time she reached a new milestone, she set her sights on the next challenge. Sitting at her desk, Anna smiled to herself. She wasn't afraid of the unknown anymore. In fact, she was excited by it. She knew that learning English was a journey without an end, and she was ready to continue taking steps into the unknown. Every challenge is a new opportunity to grow. I'm not afraid of the unknown, I embrace it. Because that's where the real growth happens. Chapter 14: The Power of the Journey. It was a quiet evening, and Anna sat by the window of her apartment, looking out over the city. The skyline was bathed in the soft glow of the setting sun, and the air was crisp with the beginnings of autumn. She wrapped herself in a cozy blanket, sipping her favorite tea, and took a moment to reflect on the path she had traveled. A year ago, Anna had started her journey to improve her English. She remembered feeling uncertain and overwhelmed, unsure if she could ever truly master the language. She had doubted herself many times, and there had been moments when she felt like giving up. But now, as she looked back, she realized how much she had changed. The transformation had been gradual, but it was profound. Anna had learned to embrace mistakes as part of the learning process. She had learned that perfection was not the goal, progress was. She had stopped focusing on flawless grammar and vocabulary and started focusing on real communication. The ability to express herself in English with confidence had opened so many doors for her, not just in her career, but in her personal life as well. When she first started speaking English in public, she had been terrified. The thought of making a mistake in front of others had seemed like the worst thing possible. But over time, she had come to see that mistakes were simply opportunities to grow. And now, when she made an error, she didn't feel embarrassed. She just corrected herself and kept going, knowing that each mistake was a small step toward improvement. Anna had also learned that language learning was not a destination. It was a continuous journey. A process of growth, self-discovery, and connection. She had set goals for herself along the way, but each time she reached one, she realized that there was always more to learn. And that was the beauty of it. There was no finish line, no final moment when she could say, "I'm done." The journey itself was the reward. Now, Anna felt more confident and capable than ever. Her work had flourished, her relationships had deepened, and her view of the world had expanded. She had met people from different cultures, learned from them, and built connections that she would treasure for the rest of her life. Her journey with English had become a bridge to the world, opening up new experiences, new ideas, and new opportunities. That evening, as she reflected on everything she had accomplished, Anna realized that learning English had not only transformed her ability to communicate, it had transformed her as a person. She had become more resilient, more patient with herself, and more open to new experiences. The process of learning had taught her to embrace challenges, to find joy in progress, and to celebrate each small victory along the way. As she closed her journal, Anna thought about the future. She was excited about the new challenges that lay ahead. She knew that there would be more obstacles to face, more mistakes to make, and more lessons to learn. But she was no longer afraid. She had learned that the journey was not just about achieving a goal, it was about enjoying the process and growing every day. I've learned that the journey is just as important as the destination. Each step, each challenge, each mistake is an opportunity to grow. I'm excited to continue this journey of learning and discovery, because the possibilities are endless. Anna smiled to herself as she stood up, looking out at the horizon. The world felt big and full of possibilities. She knew that learning English was not just a phase in her life, it was a lifelong adventure. And no matter where the road took her, she would continue to grow, to learn, and to embrace every step along the way. The future was waiting, and Anna was ready to face it, knowing that with every challenge she faced, she would continue to become the best version of herself. The journey was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun. Thanks for watching Anna's journey. Remember, learning English is about progress, not perfection. Are you ready to take the next step in your own language journey? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Leave a comment below and tell us about your learning experiences. We'd love to hear from you. Keep learning and growing, and see you in the next video.